Welcome back, my successful CEO. Welcome back to the Successful CEO podcast. Let's dive in. Okay, well, first of all, let's recap on my weekend. I went away with my husband, Andrew, and we did an in-person tattoo convention show, which was just near Toronto. We brought our tattoo aftercare, which is branded for other companies. Other companies can get their own brand on our aftercare. And so, yeah, we did this weekend away, Friday and Saturday. Sunday, we came home a little early because our young one of our kids was not feeling well. So we came home early, but it was such a beautiful weekend of getting exposure, connecting to tattoo artists in this area. And if you went to my stories and saw, or you could go over to my product company page on Instagram, Crushed Aftercare. You can see a little bit of the behind the scenes, which is a lot of fun to see our table set up. And we had the beautiful, branded aftercare. And we had these beautiful branded, what are they called? They're like signs. They're like big display signs that have our brand name and some beautiful visuals, and it just looked really, really good. So that was fun to do. And we stayed in a beautiful upscale Hilton hotel. My husband was like, I've never stayed in a hotel like this before. And I was like, this is the way to go, invest a little bit more, upgrade, be in those wealth codes. And we walked in and there was like this big bar and high ceilings with beautiful modern lighting and modern structure. And we watched the Toronto Maple Leafs game on the Saturday night and ordered food and sat at the bar. And it was just really nice to be in a upper scale type hotel. And it was the first time he had ever done that. So we were like, yeah, we are never going back again, and never going back to like lower price hotels. It's like about the experience, right? And so we're like, we're going to bring our kids to next time so they get to experience these more luxury, nice hotels. So anyways, it was a beautiful weekend and we're back now. We're back home and back into the swing of things. So it's Monday, which is my podcast day. And I'm excited to dive into this topic because branding is like literally one of the things that I am obsessed with. If you look at both my businesses, you can see the evolution over time. You can see where my Crushed Aftercare began, which was Crushed with Love, and it was soaps and bath bombs and bath salts and lip balms. And there was like the branding was like this pink kind of sparkly heart. And then it transformed into kind of this smoky logo, and I changed the name to Crushed Aftercare, and I got really niche in the industry of tattoo artists and lip injectors and lash artists and permanent makeup artists. And then the branding went from that smoking purple, which I never really felt that excited about. I never really felt like I stood behind that logo. It just didn't feel like all of me, but it was good for the time. And then I started to really shift my vibe and my brand aesthetics and feel over with my coaching business, which was a lot more intuition based. And it was actually called Intuition Revolution. And I had rebranded to that from Intuition is Your Business. And it was Intuitive Crystalline before that. So like my branding, just so you know, and if you ever feel bad about shifting and pivoting, is like both of my businesses has happened quite a few times. And I think when it comes to branding, we have to be open to the evolution. You are always evolving, and your brand should be too, reflective of who you are. It's this extension of who you are. And so if you're not changing, you're staying the same, then your brand's going to as well. And this only leads to, excuse me, stagnancy. And I actually just had some butter chicken, the most like delicious Indian food ever. I just discovered it in my hometown, and I just ate some leftovers, and now I'm like, I don't know. I'm like all from it's a little bit spicy. So if I'm clearing my throat, it's because I just ate that delicious butter chicken meal. Now you're all going to want to go run and get some butter chicken Indian cuisine. So I'm always evolving, and I believe that you should be evolving. If you want transformation, if you want, bigger things, and if you want to have a bigger impact, it's like you're inevitably going to evolve. You should be evolving. We don't want to be stagnant. We don't want to be doing the same thing over and over and over again, because then it'll get stale and we'll just get the same results. And so I want to dive into this episode where it's around the 3 branding laws. And there's more laws to this, which I'm going to tell you guys all about. The most juicy offer, one of my most favorite programs to run ever. It's a hybrid program. You can tell I'm excited because I'm like, if you saw the video, I'm like leaning into the camera and then getting excited. You can hear it in my intonation, in my voice. But there's more to cover when it comes to the laws behind creating a brand that's irresistible, creating a brand that's evolutionary. But we're going to dive into 3 today in this episode. And I mean, like I said, I've evolved both my brands. If you go over to Crushed Aftercare, that is what we do. We brand for other people. That is literally like our core value, is to create these standout brands for tattoo artists and makeup artists and lip injectors and cosmetic nurses and all of that. But if you go over to my coaching business too, it's right in my bio that I help my clients with their brand, right? Like this is what's calling people in. People want to be a part of your brand. They want to be a part of your movement. They want to feel something when they come to your brand. Let's make them feel something when they come to your page. You know, your brand should be your number one focus. When I started to get really serious about my brand and stop playing small and stop having this like wishy-washy, low quality, hardly any intention type of brand, you know, I was having, you know, maybe a few $1,000s a month. But then when I was like, listen, let's up this game, girl. Like, let's 7-figure Charissa. She doesn't have this like low budget, low quality, hardly any effort type of brand. She learns what it takes. 7-figure Charissa, she goes all in. 7-figure Charissa, she hires the experts. She goes into the programs and the trainings, and she watches the videos and she reads the books all on branding. She becomes the brand expert herself so that she can represent that, so she can embody the things, so she can have a brand that's so magnetic, that's like people can't help but be a part of that brand for their lives to change, to get the value they're looking for, the promises that we promise them with our brand. It comes down to you deciding and choosing to have a brand that's unique, that's bold, that makes a statement that they're never going to swipe by, because they have to follow, they have to see, they have to go and see what this brand is going to present the next day. That is what you want. And so when I decided I'm going to stop playing small, and I decided I'm going to invest and I'm going to learn what it takes, and I'm going to devote, and I'm going to be consistent, and I'm going to be committed, and I'm going to expand myself and evolve myself, that is when I went up to the 50K months in business. Because I actually knew that this needed to be a focus. If you are an online entrepreneur, your brand has to be one of your number one focuses, of course, with sales, of course, with content, marketing, you know, messaging, all of that is under that umbrella. If you want to be successful, if you want to scale, if you want to have a business that's thriving, that's sustainable, that's profitable, then we have to focus on your brand. So we're going to dive in right now. Let's go into the juicy details of the 3 brand laws. Okay, you ready for it? So I actually just read a book, and I will recommend it to you. It's called The Purple Cow. So go into Amazon, Purple Cow. I believe that it's Purple Cow is in the title, but I think it's called The Purple Cow. And so what the idea behind this is that you can have a brand like everyone else. You can have the messaging, you can have the marketing, you can have the visuals, you can have the slogan, you can have the metaphors, you can look like everyone else. And in fact, you see it quite often online, where one leader is doing incredibly well. Okay, so let's talk about the coaching industry. She's blowing it out of the water. And you think, if it's working for her, it must work for me. If it's working for her, well, I should try. That means what she's doing is working, so I'm going to do it too. But here's the problem. There's quite a few problems with that. But number one, you're not being authentic to you. You're not showing up in your true authentic voice, your true power, your true magic, your true zone of genius. And that's, in the long run, it's not going to work for you, because you can't sustain that. You can't sustain a lie. You can't sustain something that isn't in alignment with you, with who you are to your core. So trying to mimic or echo what they're doing simply won't work. Number two to this problem is that everyone will look the same. Everyone's going to sound the same. So if you see that leader who's smashing glass ceilings because she has purple and pink branding with black, and she does, you know, the unicorn and the balloons and all those fun things, which is like a beautiful brand. There's no right or wrong way to do this here, but we have to be cohesive and congruent, and it has to be the vibe that you're looking for when it comes to your visuals. But if we're all doing it, then we're all going to blend in. And we want a brand. This is the number one law. You want a brand that is unique. That is the purple cow. So the purple cow, the idea behind this and in this book is the successful ones have been the ones who have done it differently. So you have to think about like being innovative here, thinking outside the box, doing things like almost opposite of what other people do. Not just following the trends, not just doing it because they're doing it and they're successful. So as you're listening to this podcast today, I want you to think about your brand right now, your evolutionary brand, because we're going somewhere. We're going somewhere. We're going bigger here. So I want you to think about, do I look like everyone else? Do I sound like everyone else? Are my images just like theirs? Or am I thinking outside the box? Am I getting creative? Am I doing things differently? Am I standing out? Am I being the purple cow? And if not, if you're noticing that you are blending in or you are doing what they're doing, I would put the blinders on. I would filter. You know, if you're noticing that you're like, oh, I like the way she does it that way, I'm going to do it too. You can be inspired by people, but let's do it our own ways. That is what's going to make your brand stand out. So pay attention. If you do need to, you know, get off of social media for a bit, or just post and then get off and not be looking around at the outside external forces, and start looking inside at your inner force. This is where the magic lies, is internally. If you have to do that, then do that, so that you can start to get the creative downloads yourself. Let your own creative zone of genius, your own creative expression come to the forefront. So what makes your brand unique? What makes it different? What makes it stand out? And you can even look at it as not just your vibe, not just the way you show up, not just your content, not just your visuals being unique, but also what's your unique proposition? So this is like, what do we do differently than the masses? So if I use my product-based business, what makes us stand out are a couple things. One, we make aftercare that is vegan. Most aftercares use like a beeswax, tested on animals. We're natural. We don't use chemicals. Most of the aftercare out there in the tattoo industry has chemicals. It's maybe tested on animals or has beeswax in it. This sets us apart, especially in an eco-friendly world, you know, as we're continuing to be conscious when it comes to our purchases. That makes us stand out and is a unique proposition for our brand. We also are unique because we don't just sell generic aftercare. It's not just the crushed brand like all the other aftercares. We actually will help you stand out online. You create your own personal brand. We help you create your own product line with your logo so it's recognizable, and you can start to build your own empire in those beauty industries. So we have a unique proposition. What is your unique proposition? What makes you so different as a brand than any others? If you think about yourself as like, if you're in the healing industry or you're in the coaching industry, you're a spiritual worker, maybe you do astrology. How do you do things different? And you want to really emphasize that and share this with your audience on what makes you stand out. Excuse me. For me, as a coach, I built a multi-six-figure coaching business. I do trainings and courses and programs on selling and marketing and branding and energetics and mindset. But I'm also a psychic. I bring that to the table that's different. And I'm a seven-figure CEO of a product business. Not many coaches online also run a seven-figure company that's separate from their coaching. So start to ask yourself today, what is it that I do differently? And maybe it's the experiences they're going to get. Maybe you give a completely different experience than you've ever experienced when you've invested in things that are in your niche. Maybe you know that you give so much gold. I always say that. I always say, I give you the gold. I go above and beyond. You come into my world and you get so much value. I don't gatekeep. I don't hold back. If you know that this is what makes you unique and stand out, yell it from the mountaintops. Let the world know why your brand is unique, why you are different than the rest in your so-called competition. And I'm like this because, I mean, competition is just an illusion. We live in an ever expansive, abundant universe. So there really is no competition. But when it comes to strategy, you can definitely look at your competition and go, okay, how can I do this differently? How can I blow them out of the water? How can I make this unique and stand out? Okay, number 2, branding law number 2 is visibility. Okay, so we want to be unique, but how do people know about us? How do people know you're a brand that they want to be a part of? Because you have to be seen, you have to be heard, you have to be visible. So this is going to be a devotion on your part. This is going to be a commitment on your part. And this does take marketing. This does take deciding, what platform am I going to share my brand on? Where am I going to be seen and heard? Is it Instagram? And so we can do market research too to see my ideal clients, where are they hanging out? I actually did this recently, and mine are all on Instagram. I did this market research. It's not TikTok, not Facebook, it's Instagram, which isn't surprising because all my sales, like 90%, I would say, come from Instagram for both of my businesses. Doesn't mean I'm not visible on TikTok. I do go on, we actually have a TikTok account for my coaching and for my product business. And I actually have somebody who just messaged me. They're from TikTok, they've come into one of my trainings and now they're asking about private coaching. So even though my main audience is found in Instagram, I'm very visible there. That's my baby. That's the spot I love to be in. You can also get sales as well and connect to people and grow your visibility on other platforms too. Just don't spread yourself too thin, like have your main ones, or else it's like, what is it? You want quality over quantity. You don't want it where you're like, I'm on Pinterest and I'm on LinkedIn. Unless you have a support team that's going to like repurpose and recycle things. I have a YouTube channel as well. And my VA, she'll just like put my podcast on there and recycle some of my videos into shorts onto YouTube. But I don't spend any time over there because I'm focusing on Instagram, on Facebook as well. And you also have your email as well, your email campaigns. So I have a non-negotiable. I have a standard that I'm visible every single day for both of my brands, my product and my coaching. I am seen, I am heard, creating a piece of content, doing live videos, stories. With my product-based business, I don't do, once in a while I'll do live videos, but I'm focused on growing my personal brand. My husband does a lot of posting and stories and he posts as well over there. So I want you today, as you're listening to this, to ask yourself, like, where am I going to be seen? Where am I going to be heard? And how can I up my game when it comes to my brand visibility? Okay, what do I have to make as my non-negotiable? This is my standard. This is just what I do. Because people aren't going to buy from you or recognize your brand. You're not going to stand out or become irresistible if you're not seen or heard. People need to build the connection. They need to get to know you. They need to see what is your value for them, to then trust you, to feel loyal to you, and then want to invest in your brand, to be a part of your brand. Okay. And the third law when it comes to branding, which again, there's more, and we're going to be diving into all of this, and we're going to be integrating it and looking at your business and then shifting and evolving your business through these brands laws, but also two brand pillars. So I'm going to tell you about the Brand Evolution Mastermind at the end, but we're going to dive in more into this and you'll know more of the laws and then be able to execute it in your business as well. But it's embodiment. Like I wouldn't be selling an aftercare product if I hadn't ever used it myself. So I created it and I was using it. I was using the lip balms. I was using the balm on myself. I was using it on my kids, my friends, my family. I use it now when I've had tattoos. I have my triangle and my feather. I've used the tattoo care. My husband too. On the weekend at the Tattoo Aftercare show, he was putting it on and showcasing people. Like, he has a big sleeve tattoo and he's like, look at it. It like gives the vibrancy. It allows it to stand out. The color retention when you put it on. And he's like, it's not greasy. I love using it. He's used it. He continues to use it for his tattoos. And so it was an easy sell. People were like, oh, they use it. I see them using it. I see their tattoos. I see the color vibrancy. And then they wanted to buy our Tattoo Aftercare. So for you, when it comes to your brand, are you walking the walk? Have you embodied the thing? If you are showing up and you're like, my brand values means connection for the people, caring, community. My brand values is all around freedom. This is what I stand for, is freedom. But then there's nowhere in your brand that showcases that. There's no connection pieces happening. There's no community building happening. Doesn't show that you care about your people. You can't, it's not evident at all when you go to their feed on Instagram that there's any freedom happening. Nothing in their marketing, their messaging, their content. There's no reels around freedom, the imagery, what they're doing during the day. You just see them like maybe stressed out, tied to their computer, weekends working on their business all the time, staying in the same place. That's not freedom. So I want you to think right now for your brand, what are some of your core values? What do you stand for in your brand? We're a vegan company. Imagine if we were testing on animals and we were still using beeswax. I actually have people who have come and asked if we could put some beeswax into their aftercare product. And I say, no. I'm like, we are a vegan company. That would be so hypocritical if we created a custom blend for you where we use beeswax. We're crushed aftercare, natural vegan aftercare. That's not embodying. That's not walking the walk. So I say no. Maybe I lose a sale. Maybe I lose a few because they want that. They want the bee product in there. But we stand true to our values, to what we believe in, to what we want our brand company to be known for. So if you want your business to be known for ease and flow and play and freedom and pleasure, then make sure you're showing up and sharing with the world how you yourself embody that. How you do behind the scenes, how you do when you show up, when you're creating your content and your messaging, with your visuals, with your imagery, with your values that you're stating. Ensure that the world knows, but make sure you're walking the walk. And then that's going to be attracting people your way because they're going to see your authenticity. They're going to see she's mastering the thing. They're doing the thing. They actually walk the walk. They're an expert in this. And now I want to learn from the expert. This is where the trust comes in. People invest in your brand based off of trust, not because, wow, look at those offers. Wow, look at what they give. They buy it because they trust you. If you think about it, there's like so many coaches out there, thousands. And people purchase from certain coaches. They'll say to another coach, I don't have the money. I don't really know. This is too scary. And then the next minute, they're investing in a coach that's a higher ticket than you. And you go, what? They just said they can't afford it. This is too scary. I don't know. Well, the reason why they ended up investing in that mentor, the coach, the leader, even though their prices are higher, is because they trusted that that leader would get the job done, that leader can lead them to where they want to go. And so this is why it's very vital with your brand that you show that you walk the walk. This is why we need to be bold leaders and brave and courageous and make the big leaps and make the big moves. because that's when we're going to get the results. And then we're living, breathing, walking embodiment of where we want to go. We've become that because we've made those moves. And now we can show up online and we can say, I've made the moves. I did this. I did this. I went through this. I navigated this. I gained this. I became stronger, more powerful, better leader. And now I'm going to lead you there because I've done the thing. I've walked the walk. I've embodied it all. And now they'll see she was there. Now she's over here. I'm here and I want to go over there. She's the one for me. I trust that she's going to take me there because she's done it herself. So make sure that your brand is one of the laws that you have been the embodiment of what you're representing. Okay, this was amazing. There's way more to a brand than this. And this is why we're going to dive in together for 4 weeks. The Brand Evolution Mastermind begins end of May. This is 4 weeks together. You save $1,000 right now. It is currently on for $555, which is insane. You're in a mastermind close proximity with me for 4 whole weeks. We're going to evolutionize your brand. We're going to create a brand that's irresistible, that's iconic, that stands out, that magnetizes people your way. Each week there is a branding training. Then we have a hot seat coaching call where you come on. There's a group coaching call. And we're in Voxer 3 days a week for the 4 weeks. So you can come in and ask me anything about your brand. And I'm talking brand voice, tone, characteristics, your metaphor, your slogan, talking your imagery, your visuals, the feel, the vibe, all the brand pillars. We're going to be covering it together. People want to buy from a brand that is next level, that's unique, that stands out, that blows them out of the water. So now it's your turn to create this. We're going big in my world. This isn't let's play small. Playing small gets you small results. The Branded Evolution Mastermind, we're going massive. We're going big. This is going to be uncomfortable. You're going to be making shifts. You're going to be pivoting. But this is what an evolution is about. If you want evolutionary results and an evolutionary impact, you have to become evolutionary yourself. Send me a message on Instagram. There's an upgrade available as well, VIP option for $777. And this gets you a 1-hour private brand audit call with me. You get the 4-week hybrid mastermind plus the 1 hour for $777. But remember, the final price is $1,555. So now is the time to get in for only $555, and we have payment plan options available. This is like one of my favorite programs I run, and I ran it last year, and I'm going to run it again, and then I'm going to run it again because I can't stop with the branding. I'm obsessed with it. I love you, and I will see you on the next podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, to like, and to share, and to tag me when you do. I will see you next week.